Right, I'm starting this video with a bit of a rant. So if you don't want to hear the rant and you want to get onto the repair, skip ahead. I'll put a link or a chapter marker for it. But I bought this running machine just over a year ago for my wife as a Christmas present, and it's not been very used at all. It's by SportsTech. It's the F31 model. It has literally spent months, not like this, folded up. It's only recently broken, to be fair. But it has hardly been used at all. It's got a maximum weight of 120 kilos. Weight limit rather of 120 kilos. I weigh 100 kilos, so there's a 20 kilo safety margin there. And this is the running deck, which you can see is cracked right the way down the middle. I can't say I'm surprised, because it's made of MDF, which is hardly renowned for its structural strength. It's very smooth. It's got a very smooth covering on it. I don't know what it is. I'm replacing it, or intending to replace it, with plywood, which is a lot stronger, and it is what's called phenolic coated, phenolic resin bonded. So basically it's normal birch plywood, but there is a sheet of paper which is soaked in phenolic resin, which is applied to the outside as part of the forming process. So that gives a very smooth finish, although it's not quite as smooth as this one, but we'll see. Yeah, so I've got to cut it to the same shape as this. It's very slightly larger, the piece I've got at the moment. I shan't be transferring these things across to it. They are the automatic self lubricating system. You put the what's the word? You put the lubricant in the top here. There's a little hole there. Put the lubricant in there, and it's supposed to come down through here and drip out of these holes along the running track as it's running underneath. This is the underside, so it drips on the inside of the running track. That doesn't work. In all the times I've tried to use it, none of it seems to come out for some reason. But what does happen is, as soon as you fold the running machine up, this piece is normally, would come up to the top, would be about here, up on the ground. And as a home use running machine, this is designed to spend most of its time folded up. Anyway, when it's folded up, it all just drips out all over the floor. So I wasted the first tub of lubricant, silicone lubricant, because I filled up the little reservoirs and ran it for a while and thought it had lubricated it, and then lifted it up and found all of it just poured out all over the floor. So that's a complete and utter waste of time. The other thing, which is a problem with this machine, is before it broke, it had started stalling at high speed. And what I mean is, it's got a maximum speed of 16 kilometers an hour, and when I was running on it, as I put my foot down onto the track, it would stop, just momentarily. But it's an extremely unnerving thing to have happen, and it feels like you're flying off the thing. So I don't know why that is, but before I'd had the opportunity to really look at it, this thing had cracked and become unusable. So once that's replaced, then I'll have a look at this. I did watch a video that said it's not necessarily that I tightened the belt before anybody suggests that's probably the cause. So that shouldn't have been slipping. I did see a video that suggested that possibly could be this belt could be slipping if you can turn it more than 90 degrees, and I quite easily can. Suggest that might be loose, but there's no slots or anything on here, so I'm going to have to make some adjustments if I'm to try and adjust this to tighten this up. Anyway, we'll see what happens with there as I go. Well, once I've got it fixed, then I'll have a look at it. I'll run it with the cover off, and then I can see what's pausing, if it is just the track or if it's the motor or what it is. Anyway, so that's the ranting over. Let's get to the repair. So as I say, I've got that board to fit, and all the instructional videos that people talk about say the best thing to do is to just take the old board off, take all the pieces off it, all the hardware, these rubber mounts, and then just use the holes in the existing board to make the holes in the new one. So that's what I'm going to do there. The actual width is not really critical, neither is the length, because nothing actually connects to it. If it was slightly wider, it wouldn't matter, because the track is just running along here. And likewise, the length isn't really critical, because this doesn't touch against anything. It just sits close to the runner, and obviously the front end sits close to it as well. So the first thing to do is to remove these plastic side pieces. Now, I wasn't quite sure how to do it, so I thought rather than do it live on video, I'd have a go first. So I've got this one off, and basically all I did is just held on with those 2 rows of tape that you can see there, and all I did to get it off, well, I did 2 things to get it off. One, I tried to do this, and you can see that I've snapped that piece in there, so that isn't the way to take it off. But the way to take it off is to just jam the screwdriver under here and lift it up, and just go down and lift, down a bit further and lift, down a bit further and lift, and just slowly break the tape. And once you've got kind of through the first piece of tape, it'll be a bit looser. Then you just start again, pushing the screwdriver right the way into the back, and just lift it up and get off the second piece of tape. Just take your time, don't push it too hard, don't try and lift it up in the middle, because you will end up either cracking it or distorting it. So you just want to break the tape. You can see I've put it in every 2 to 5 centimeters, 2 to 5 centimeters, inch or 2 inches. Just lever it up and just go up and down until it comes off. Okay, so just jam that in, lift it. And then finally, jam it right the way in. It finally starts to lift off the whole thing. So I'm applying pressure. Let's see, I'm applying pressure at the top here, pushing it off with my thumb, and then I'm just levering the whole thing up slowly as it goes down the length of the board. Whoops. Right. So that's come off. Now I just need to get a knife or something and scrape all this off. Give it a clean, because it's all now covered in silicone lubricant, so it all needs a thorough clean before you can stick it down on the other board. Okay, just cleaning this with this scraper. I'm not going to get too fussed about it. The glue's still stuck there, but the replacement tape I've got will stick to that. As I said, I'll clean it with some kind of alcohol beforehand to get all the... Actually, I don't know if alcohol works on silicone. Anyway, we'll see. I may have to use soap. Don't know. Right. Anyway, so that's that. That all needs cleaning. And I'll do the other one. Okay. So I probably should have videoed the last bit, but I forgot. So all I did, I just freehand, well not freehand, but I just drew round the base. Drew around the original deck, and then I just freehand cut with the circular saw around the piece. It doesn't, as I say, it doesn't have to be massively accurate because it's all hidden underneath. So now I'm just gonna, I've clamped, because this does need to be quite accurate, I've clamped the top to the old deck to the new deck, and I'm going to drill through these existing holes to mark the holes for the mounting. So, and then just drill straight through. Not very sharp drill bit. Breakout, teeny bit, but the breakout doesn't really matter unless it's huge because it's going to be underneath the side runners. And this side here, which I've got resting on this rubber cloth to protect it, is the side it's going to be running on. So there's not really any risk of that. I will put the camera down though, and I will just hold a little block underneath just to protect against tear out. Okay, so that's all the holes drilled. That's the back. That's the front. So, as the great Norm Abrams would say, time for some assembly. Yeah, right, so first thing to do, put the reattach the rubber mounts onto this. The assembly order is slightly different to the disassembly order, because I haven't got these pieces on in the way now. So what I'll do is I'll reattach the rubber stops to here while this is up. Then I'll lower it down. I'll just slide in the plate, the deck, screw them to the top of the pieces here, and then I'll stick down the side guards. Alright, so I've screwed in all of these now. Let's lower the deck. You have to push it down by hand, it's not heavy enough. Got the deck on it. Actually, one thing I'm going to do, just run a bit of sandpaper over all these corners before I start. Right, I've sanded all the corners, edges. Now just on the safe side. So let's get this in. Although most of the edges, these side edges don't matter at all. It's only the two. It's only this one and this one that really matter because they're exposed. All these side edges are going to be protected by the plastic edge. And there we go. Screws. One corner in, and the other corner in. I haven't screwed that in all the way. Get all the little bits of sawdust off. I'm going to put these two end bolts in to the end and attach the rear roller properly. So I'll just go through here and then squeeze in. So that just pokes through that hole, and there's a threaded piece in the bar it goes into. Just turn it through. And then the end of the screw pokes out through the hole here, and that kind of keeps it level. Again, though, I have to say the hole is a bit on the large side. It's not quite what I would have expected. Right, I've no idea how tight to set this. I'll set it so it looks parallel. Now, this is one interesting piece. I said that it didn't matter about the cut on the end of the board, and you can see why now. Because the roller is very slightly higher than the end of the piece of wood. So the belt never actually touches that corner. And the same thing at the front. I'm going to tighten this a bit more. I think that looks a bit loose. Okay. Right, so I'm going to start it up now and adjust the tracking. Right, this is the first test. I haven't turned it on yet. Okay. It works. It's a bit slow when it's touching. I need to put some lubricant on it. And also I've just noticed that I've forgotten to put these shock absorbers on the sides. So I'm going to have to take the deck off again. Right. Now I'm going to oil it. Basically, this is it, not oil it, lubricate it. Just the belt up, poke the hose in as far as it will go, and give it a good squeeze as you pull it out. And the same thing on the other side. Interesting. Do it again. Here's the test. Right. That is jerking a bit, I don't know if you can see it. Needs more lubricant. I'll put more on and let it run for a while. Okay. So, I videoed the engine, well, as you've seen in the video. It looks like the motor doesn't stop, but this is stopping, so I'm thinking that this is loose. So I've taken the motor off and you can see it's just got fixed mounts. So I'm going to widen these holes, or lengthen these, not widen, lengthen these holes, so I can push the motor a little bit further back. It's not ideal, so it doesn't really have a tightening mechanism to do it, so you just kind of have to lever it and then tighten it up, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've now lengthened the bolt holes, basically just using my square file, and as luck would have it, there's something behind that one and something behind that one, so it was just, I could only use the very end of it, just it's just taking me a long time. That's always the way. Anyway, they're long enough, I hope, to get a bit of tension on it. And the other thing I've done is I've just tried to clean that a bit. It looks a bit shiny, like there might be some lubricant or oil on it. I've just cleaned that with a alcohol swab. So hopefully that's dry as well, though it's still quite shiny, so who knows. Right, time to bolt this back on and see what happens. Right, so what I've done is I've hooked the clamp underneath, and when I lever, it's tight. When I lever on it, see a bit of there, it's there again. When I lever on it, it's stretching the belt and pulling it down. So I'm just going to do that. Can't do this with one hand because I've got to tighten it up. So I'm just going to lever on that, tighten it up. Also, I'm not going to do that because these are 3 nuts and they're spinning on both sides, and I have to hold one side to do it up. Because it's bloody cheap. That is the problem. Shortcuts, cheap cuts. Don't buy one of these running machines, they're a pain in the backside. So that was too precarious using that lever. So what I've done, I've made a hole. I can use this screwdriver to lever in it. So, right, I'm trying to clean these sides to get all the silicone lubricant off them. I'm using methylated spirits in the UK. I think it's the same as rubbing alcohol. It seems to work the same. I use it wherever it says rubbing alcohol. If it's a US video, it's coming off. You can see a few kind of traces a bit there, but it has got a lot of it off. It's just a case of rubbing and rubbing. I haven't done that side yet. You can see there's a lot of streaks on that. Okay, so this end cap hooks in, this end cap hooks into here by a small amount and just covers it over by, I don't know, what's that, 1/4 inch. So this piece can fit in, it's not the same length as the board, so you need to work out exactly where to put it. So put this piece on, that's where that goes. Slide this there if you can. There we go. So that's where that needs to be. So that's pushed on fully. You can see that. That's pushed on all the way where that goes. This is slid down into it. It's covering it over. So I'm holding this piece still now. Take this off. I'll make a little mark here at the end. So that tells me. No, there we go. Yeah. That's what I like it. Right, so now I've got a mark there, so when I put this on I know exactly where it's supposed to be. So I'm just going to clean this one. I've already cleaned the deck. This time I will try not to knock it over. I'm basically just scrubbing it. You can see some stuff's come off. Turn it over. Another clean bit. Well, so it doesn't feel slippery. The tissue is quite draggy, so I think that's good. Put the lid on. Plus I've also wasted half a bottle there. Right, here is my tape, which is double-sided foam kind of tape, and I'm just gonna stick it on that end and just run it down. Lightly pushing it, line it up, right down, line it up. Stick it on. Cut it off slightly short of the end. And do the other one. This was a 5-meter roll I got. And one thing to check is that's not inclined to lift up. So it means I've got it clean enough. There's no silicone, because if there was silicone on there, that would just lift straight up. Right. Snip that. Right. Now, peel off the vacuum paper. They do this in three kinds actually. They do a clear one. For sticking things on glass, transparent one, and they also do an outdoor one. This is the indoor one. The outdoor one is UV resistant, but as I'm never expecting to use this outside, I just went with the indoor one because that was cheaper. So just push this edge firmly against the deck, and then line up the line I just drew. Push that end down and work my way along. Pushing it down as you go. And that's it. Well, that is it. Let's just put this back on. Don't fit in, I need to lift it up. Put the screws in for that. So, here we go. And there's the belt. You can hear it. I don't remember if it's any noisier or quieter than the previous one. But there it is. This is the point I made earlier. You can see, if I push down, the front of the back of the deck is not used. Neither is the front. It squashes down, and use the middle. So, one new DIY deck. Oh, price, yes. So, I'm still waiting for SportsTech to come back to me. That's been about a month now. And I've read numerous things that says their customer support is terrible. I did go online and saw a company here in the UK that sells decks. They wanted £120 for a new deck, which is not a bad price. That piece of plywood I got, for phenolic coated plywood, was a 1200 by 2400 sheet, which is 8 foot by 4 foot, which is enough for 4 decks. Cost me £48. So that deck on there cost me £12 as opposed to 120. So that's a tenth of the price. So yeah, and that's got a special coating on it as well, with the phenolic coating. So it's not just a piece of wood. So another coating is not really going to be worth that much more. Anyway, I'll do an update if it wears out or there's a problem with it. I'll do an update, but at the moment I'm very pleased.